Welcome back. In a moment, we'll examine the terror group Boko Haram's grip on northern Nigeria. But first, here are some other stories to keep an eye on. In honour of the victims of the November 13th attacks last year, thousands of lanterns coloured in the blue, white and red of the French flag have lit up Paris's Canal Saint-Martin. 130 people were killed in gun and bomb attacks around the capital by so-called Daesh affiliates. France remains in a state of emergency, a year on from that attack. Colombia's government and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia have announced an agreement on a revised peace deal. It comes 6 weeks after voters unexpectedly rejected a previous deal. Talks have been held for 4 years in Havana. It's thought to incorporate proposals from opposition and religious leaders. And Bulgaria's centre-right Prime Minister Boko Borisov has resigned after a pro-Moscow socialist candidate defeated his nominee in the presidential election. Borisov's resignation will lead to an early election, most likely, and it's prompted discussions over difficult coalition talks among several political groupings. Well, let's find out a bit more about Boko Haram. The Nigerian government defined it as a terrorist group. They're a Sunni Muslim group who advocate strict Sharia law and have declared affiliations to other terror organisations like Al-Shabaab and Daesh. Boko Haram has a mysterious figure as its leader, Abu Bakr Sheku, whose death has been claimed by the Nigerian government at least 6 times, but has repeatedly reappeared on video footage. Inside, Juliana Alayinka explains.
Boko Haram has been raging a war in the northeast of Nigeria, long before the kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls in Chibok. The group emerged in 2002, a collection of like-minded Islamists, followers of a young, charismatic preacher named Muhammad Yusuf. Their fundamentalist mindset believed that the creation of Nigeria by British colonialists had imposed a Western and un-Islamic way of life on Muslims. The Hausa term Boko Haram closely interprets to Western education is forbidden. The group's rise, some experts say, is attributable to government corruption and economic differences between the Muslim northern areas and the more populous and prosperous Christian south. Their reign has been deadly. Between 2011 and 2012, more than 1,000 people were killed in 180 attacks. This figure increased to more than 4,000 between 2013 and 2014. In recent years, the terror group's murder mandate appears to have surged. Since 2015, there have been more than 300 separate attacks, killing up to 6,500 people. Territory has always been a defining factor for the group. The states of Kaduna, Maiduguri, and Yobe in the northeast of Nigeria has seen some of their strongest battles. Boko Haram also has presence in neighbouring countries Cameroon and Chad. Their swathe of territory in West Africa has gained wider attention. Nigerian Islamists are suspected to have trained with fighters from the Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. Members are also expected to have joined forces with the Movement for Unity and Jihad in West Africa. They are suspected to have formed links with Al-Shabaab in Somalia. And in 2015, a faction of the group pledged allegiance to Daesh. There are certainly many questions of whether the Nigerian government are indeed winning the war against Boko Haram.
Well, to understand more, I'm joined by Temi Tope Olodo, who's a preventative terrorism expert and author, and still with us is the UK chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Philip Idawar. Temi Tope Olodo, it's wrong, I believe, to call Boko Haram one organisation. Is it a rather random grouping of many groups?
It is. It's a group of individuals that believe in the establishment of an Islamic caliphate. And they have different ideology, different templates of how they want to achieve this objective. And many of them have anti-government ideologies or thoughts. And I think that's the reason why they're springing up in different ways. They're a group that will, that will negotiate with government to give back one girl, and then they're a group that will attack government. And you can't actually tell, because if it's the same individuals that negotiate with government, then why attack the government? So you could see that they come with different shape and sizes.
Is it a homegrown group? Are they mostly Nigerians, or do they come from all over Africa, or all over the world, for that matter?
Well, historically, when you look at the point in the northeast where this group came about, you will have to accept that it is homegrown, but with spread out or linkages to other groups as time went on.
Yeah.
And again, we need to ask ourselves this simple question: why was it possible for a group of individuals to come together to propagate this kind of idea? And I think
What's the answer? Why do you think it was?
I think it comes to the point that Temitope raised just now about having anti-government mindset.
Yeah.
And the reason anti-government mindset came into being was simply down to issue of poverty and the perception that government is not interested, okay, about the welfare or the well-being of these individuals. The northeast of Nigeria has the lowest, infant mortality rate in the country, the lowest, or the highest, maternal mortality rate in the country. The poverty level there, up to 78% of individuals that live in that part of the country are said to live below $1 per day.
But Temitope, in trying to define this and try to understand what you're dealing with,
Okay.
it keeps changing, doesn't it? I mean, only recently, part of this group, whoever it is, we don't know about this leader, whether he's still alive or not.
No. Yeah.
But they declared, oh, actually, we're part of the Daesh movement as well.
Yes.
But that seems to be a random add-on. They weren't until a few months ago, were they?
Yeah, exactly. And there are different groups. Even within Nigeria, you have the Jabs, you have the Asuras. There are different groups, and they are all claiming different things. And the challenge we've always have is that the drivers of terrorism, which we need to understand and find a way to deal with it. We've not been able to deal with it because of the weak institutions within Nigeria, unable to tackle some of the policy challenges that are surrounding those.
What, like feeding people? Giving people a decent standard of living?
Yes, giving them opportunity to hear their challenges. We know of recent that the U.S. government, refused the Nigerian government being able to get weapons because they've complained about the human rights challenges. But if that have happened in the UK or other countries, there will have been a proper investigation. The Nigerian government is slow in coming up with putting proper initiatives or policies on ground that deals with some of the challenges that might, raise this kind of...
So social justice is one cause, one can understand that, but it's complicated because it's now adopted a very particular religious creed.
Yes.
And the two are not necessarily connected.
No.
I mean, anyone can feel poor if they don't have enough money, they can't feed their family.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look at the religious dimension to it, I think that it is the question of looking at why, for instance, did they begin to, why did they start calling themselves Boko Haram? When they say Western education, so to say, is evil, or going to school is evil. Because they saw people from their communities who acquired Western education, who went on to work in government institutions. Yeah. They saw their lives changed. They saw their attitude change. They saw their connectivity to the community changed to the extent that these people became, in their definition, very greedy and self-centered. And they simply wanted something that will give them some human face, if you may. So I think that education is also part of the solution to the problem. When the institutions are not there to educate people properly and to convince people that education is important, it is a tool to human development, then we are going to have the kind of problems we are having in the country.
But meanwhile, Temitope, you seem to be suggesting you need almost a multinational approach to terror in the continent of Africa, because there are so many different facets to all this, aren't there?
Exactly, and we need to create a situation or have an enabling environment where security initiatives that are good enough in other countries could be localized or brought into local content to address some of the challenges that we have. Because if we're talking about religion, there is Sharia law in northern Nigeria, and yet that has not pacified these individuals, to go through those processes. Instead, they want to create their own...
Borders to the neighbouring countries are meaningless, aren't they? I mean, if there are terrorists, if we define them like that, they can come and go, they can run away, they can come back. re-emerge?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nightmare for the Nigerian government to deal with.
It is, and the Nigerian government is not even proactive enough because, from my perspective, if you have challenges in Mali and you have challenges in Libya, and you're not actually involved in those discussions in those countries where they feed into the security challenges in your country, then you have a problem. Because the Global Peace Index placed Nigeria at 149, out of 168, costing the Nigerian government in terms of violence cost $70 billion US. Now, that is enough for any government to look into and try and reduce that cost. But as far as I'm concerned, there is not that political will to address those issues the way they have stated.
And Philip Idewor, if I can put it this crudely, why should the rest of the world care? If this part of West Africa, and then spreading, if you like, northeastwards right across to Libya, wants to have this fight going on, unresolved, bitter tensions, what effect does it have on the rest of us?
It's massive, massive. First of all, I think that I would like to disagree with Temitope. I think that when President Buhari came into office, the first things that he did was to go to Chad and, in fact, visited that country, visited Cameroon to try and discuss with the president and the leaders there.
Right.
On
get some common policy going.
Exactly. So, and I think that the world needs to be concerned. It's not a West Africa or a Nigerian challenge. It is actually the spread of the terrorist groups from North Africa through the Middle East, North Africa, downwards into West Africa. It's not the other way around. It's actually coming from the Middle East and through North Africa, Libya and all that, into West Africa. And this is what is important. If you are challenging and trying to annihilate the terrorist groups in the Middle East, and we are not dealing with its tentacles reaching out to other sub-regions, i.e. the West African sub-region or the Chad district, you are going to have problems there. You will only succeed in chasing them downwards. And they will take root in this new location. So it has to be a multinational, global effort to root out the very causes and individuals that are behind these terrorist groups worldwide. It shouldn't be left in the hands of one country.
Philip Idewor and Temitope Olodo, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now we end with our Insight Bite, a little something that we feel you should know. A powerful earthquake with a magnitude of 7.8 struck New Zealand's South Island, killing at least 2 people. Now, it seems the earthquake has also left 3 cows stranded on a newly formed grass island. They were spotted by a helicopter flying in the area, and it's a wonder if anyone watching has actually gone down to help them. Well, that's all for now. I'm Martin Stanford. That was Insight.